10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 475. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 475 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. This week we are continuing our series on essential chord progressions. Last week we went over what I think is maybe the most essential chord progression, which is 1, moving to 4, and then just back to 1. And this week what we're going to do is we're going to keep some things the same, but we're going to do a really interesting thing before we go back to 1. So if you haven't checked out last week's episode, highly recommend it. Get some of that stuff happening, make sure that you practice over that initial progression, because a lot of this is going to sound the same. It's going to be some of the same principles, but we are just going to add something juicy at the end of this week's little loop that we're doing. Now, we're also going to do this over a different feel, but I'll get to that later. Let's talk about the progression first. Now, something that we're also doing is last week we were in the key of concert C. We're actually going to switch up the key this week, and we're going to do our work in concert F. So just as a quick review, here was the progression from last week, and I'm going to do this in concert F so that there's some continuity here. So last week we had 1, and then that 1 became dominant, which makes it the 5 of 4. So we were prepping to go to the 4 chord. And then all we did last week was we did a 2-5-1 back to the original key. So here it is in total. So now we've got that in our ears, okay? And hopefully, like I said, you all have practiced that over the course of the week. Because now we're just going to change things up. So this week, we're going to stick with that 1 chord. And we're also going to stick with our way of getting to the 4 chord. So again, that 1 chord becomes dominant, which makes it the 5 of 4. Then we move to the 4. But this time, what we're going to do is we're going to make that 4 chord a major 6 chord instead of a major 7 chord. So it's the difference between this sound and this sound. A little more stable. And there's a really good reason why we're doing that I'll get to. But so far we have 1, 5 of 4, 2, 4. And then we're going to do this really cool thing that we see a lot in jazz history, particularly in older tunes, which is we're going to get back to the 1 by way of a minor 4. And then that just moves us back to 1. So check out what that sounds like. Here's the 4 chord. And then we get our minor 4 chord. So if you were thinking about chord symbols, it would be this: F major 7 to F7 to B flat major 6 to B flat minor 6 back to F major. And that's it. We're just going to loop those chords to make our essential progression. Now, there's a couple of things at play here, but the first and most obvious is that this just sounds incredibly beautiful. That sound of the 4 chord moving to the minor 4 chord is really gorgeous. That way of creating tension and release that's not just your standard 2-5-1 is really amazing. But one thing that I want to focus on, like we did last week, is the voice leading that exists between that B flat minor 6 chord and the F major chord. So check this out. Listen to that again. Hear how nicely that leads into the F major 7 chord? And you could do all the math sort of on your own, but I highly suggest that either through playing or through, sitting down and looking at the chords on the piano or on a, writing out the 2 block chords on a piece of manuscript paper. However you want to do it is fine, but I want you to examine those relationships because they're very, very interesting, right? Now, also, what I'm going to give the Patreon members this week, like I did last week, is I'm going to give you a sheet where I want you to sing the voice leading. So the place that we are going to study the voice leading is we're going to start on the 7th of the 1 chord. So this note right here. So that's the major 7th over an F major 7 chord. Now that's going to move down a half step to become that dominant 7th. Then it's going to move down another half step to become the 3rd of the 4 chord. And now with this new progression, what we could do is we can move it down another half step and then another half step. So it sounds like this all together. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And then we resolve on that 5th, okay? So that'll be on the sheet, and I highly recommend that you sing that. In fact, let's sing it together. Ready? Do, 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 do. Okay, so I definitely want you to practice that and get it into your head because that's going to be a really, really, really important thing to be able to hear. And I think you're going to want to use that voice leading in your lines because it's just so gorgeous. And it's kind of like the essence of the whole progression. So you may want to skip that part of it where you're singing that voice leading, and you might just want to jump right into playing. But really, I just highly, highly recommend that you are able to sing that voice leading accurately with accurate pitches with the backing track. And then you could even play just that regular old whole note line over the top of the progression. And what it will do is it will really, really set you up for success when you're trying to actually improvise over the top of it, okay? Now, the other thing that we're doing this week is we're switching up the feel. So last time we kind of did this like slow, washy, gospel-y feel. This week what we're going to do is we're going to put a Brazilian feel underneath it, a little bit of a bossa nova feel, which is going to give us a different environment to play over, a different feel. It's going to work on our ability to be flexible rhythmically, to play in different styles. As you know, jazz is a style that encompasses many other styles, and Brazilian music is one of those. So let's check out what the backing track sounds like for this week. So you can hear this is really going to change things, right? It's a faster tempo, but I have elongated all the changes to 2 bars each. So you can hear we're playing 1 chord, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, minor 4, and then we're back to 1. Okay, so this will be a really good one all the way around. It'll switch things up. It changes the key. It also changes the feel, which will be really good for you. Let's do something before we turn this off. Let's actually work on that voice leading. I want you to just sing it with me, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there it is. You can get to work on that. For the Patreon members, I'm going to have the backing track, the PDF with the voice leading line written out on it, so you can actually see it on paper. And then for the $5 members, I will have a trading track. So if you want to get your hands on all the materials, all the supporting materials from this episode, we are a listener-supported podcast, which means we don't do any kind of advertisements on the show. Instead, we rely on the people getting the benefits out of this stuff, you, the jazz student, to support us and keep this thing going. We do that through the Patreon platform in the form of a very small monthly donation. In return for that donation, you do get worksheets and practice tracks and all kinds of amazing stuff with every single episode. You also get access to our entire back catalog. So you can learn more about that and get yourself signed up for instant access to everything by going to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, and clicking on one of the Patreon banners, or you can go to patreon.com and you could search for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson. You will see all of the stuff over there, the different donation levels, and all the information on what you get. Thank you so much if you choose to do that. That's really a big deal. Again, that's how we keep these shows coming out. And of course, to everybody over there supporting us, thank you. We could not do this without you. All right, everybody. Hope you're all doing well out there. We're going to get out of here by playing over this progression just a little bit so you can get it further in your ears. And I hope you have fun with this stuff. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.